Hello everyone, and welcome back to TMF-CRIME. Today, we have a gripping and heart-wrenching story to share with you. Ryan Ferguson, a decade of injustice. This is the tale of a man who spent nearly 10 years behind bars for a crime he did not commit. We'll dive into the case of Ryan Ferguson, unravel the twists and turns of his legal battle, examine the role of false confessions, and discuss how social media played a pivotal role in his exoneration. So grab a seat, and let's get started. The murder case. 22 years ago, a journalist was murdered outside his office building in Columbia, Missouri, during the late hours of Halloween in 2001. Years later, two young friends, who had been seen around town that evening, were arrested and accused of the murder. Prosecutors thought it was a straightforward case, teenagers supposedly targeting a middle-aged man for a robbery that escalated. One of the young defendants, Ryan Ferguson, firmly believed that he and his friend were innocent and not responsible for the crime. He was certain that something was seriously amiss. Ryan Ferguson's arrest. In March 2004, Ferguson and his friend Chuck Erickson were arrested for the murder of Kent Heitholt, a sports editor at the Columbia Daily Tribune. The murder occurred after 2 a.m. on November 1 as Heitholt was leaving work. Heitholt, who was 48 years old, was discovered strangled in the parking lot. The case remained unsolved for 2 years until Erickson confessed to the crime and implicated Ferguson in the murder. At the time of Heitholt's murder, both Erickson and Ferguson were 17 years old. On the evening of the crime, they had been in Columbia, attending Halloween parties and later sneaking into a college bar. Erickson, who admitted to being under the influence of alcohol and drugs that night, had no recollection of the events. The strange dreams. After reading news reports about the murder in October 2003, Erickson began experiencing dreams that led him to believe he might be the perpetrator. The following month, he came across a police sketch of a possible suspect that he felt resembled him. Erickson shared these thoughts with his friends, who then contacted the Columbia police. As a result, Erickson was taken into custody and subjected to an interrogation. However, when reviewing the video of the interrogation, it becomes evident that Erickson had no real knowledge of the crime. When questioned about the murder weapon, he couldn't identify the object used to kill Heitholt and was left making uncertain guesses. In a surprising turn of events, the detective conducting the interrogation did something that an experienced investigator typically would not do. He provided Erickson with specific details of the crime, including the fact that Heitholt was strangled with his own belt. The evidence. The belt used in the murder, unfortunately, was never found. Only its buckle. Nonetheless, a significant amount of forensic evidence was uncovered at the crime scene, including hair, blood, fingerprints, and footprints. The issue, however, was that none of the DNA evidence matched either Erickson or Ferguson. The sole evidence connecting Ferguson to the murder was the testimony of Erickson and a janitor who claimed to have seen both young men in the parking lot on the night of the murder. This evidence was deemed sufficient to convict Ferguson on December 5, 2005. At the time of his conviction, Ferguson, who was 21 years old, received a 40-year sentence. In a plea deal, Erickson was sentenced to 25 years. The trial. 4 years after the trial, Erickson stepped forward and confessed to having fabricated his previous statements, exposing that Boone County prosecutor Kevin Crane had coerced him. Furthermore, the janitor, Jerry Trump, revised his testimony under oath, asserting that the prosecution had coached him to provide the earlier statements he had given during the trial. The struggle for justice. In 2009, high-profile attorney Kathleen Zellner took on Ryan Ferguson's case after his wrongful conviction had garnered attention. She successfully secured a retrial in 2012. During the retrial, Zellner questioned Jerry Trump, Sean Hunt, and Chuck Erickson, all of whom admitted to lying and disclosed that they had been coerced into making false statements by prosecutor Kevin Crane. Trump revealed that Crane had provided him with an article and photo of Ferguson. Arndt and Erickson stated that they had been threatened. At the retrial, Zellner called Michael Boyd, the last person to have seen Kent Height hold alive, to the stand. Boyd, who had not been called as a witness in the original trial, provided a complete timeline of the night of Height-Holt's murder. Zellner also uncovered evidence that had been withheld from the defense team. As a result, Ferguson's conviction was overturned after he had served a quarter of his sentence. Social media and the exoneration. Here's where social media enters the picture. In the mid-2000s, the power of the internet and platforms like Twitter and Facebook started to influence public opinion and shed light on unjust cases. Ryan Ferguson's case gained immense attention on these platforms, drawing support from people worldwide. This public outcry put pressure on the authorities to re-examine the case. A turning point. Ferguson regained his freedom on November 12, 2013, shortly after his 29th birthday. The Boone County District Attorney's Office announced that it would no longer pursue a case against him. Furthermore, the Missouri Attorney General opted not to refile charges. Ryan Ferguson had endured 9 years, 8 months, and 2 days of unjust imprisonment for a crime he was innocent of. In 2020, Ferguson was awarded $11 million, with $1 million for each year of wrongful incarceration and an additional $1 million for legal costs. His charges were cleared because the court determined there was insufficient evidence to support a conviction. Despite Chuck Erickson having testified against him, Ferguson expressed his desire to help Erickson, who is currently serving a 25-year sentence for the crime. Ferguson believed that Erickson was used and manipulated and expressed sympathy for him, stating that he needed support and didn't belong in prison. Ryan Ferguson's family offered a $10,000 reward for any information that could help solve the case. Erickson filed 2 petitions for a writ of habeas corpus, both of which were denied, and his most recent appeal is still pending. While in prison, Ferguson's father advised him to do whatever was necessary to protect himself, leading Ferguson to focus on exercise and eventually become a personal trainer. The aftermath. After his release, he appeared on the MTV series Unlocking the Truth, but faced challenges finding regular work due to his public reputation. Ferguson recently appeared on the latest season of The Amazing Race, where he openly shared his experiences of incarceration and his hopes for the future. His ordeal serves as a reminder that wrongful convictions can happen to anyone, and emphasizes the importance of reforming the justice system to prevent such tragedies in the future. In our journey through Ryan Ferguson, a decade of injustice, we've witnessed the impact of a false confession, the importance of a dedicated support system, and the incredible influence of social media in the fight for justice. It's a reminder that justice is not always served swiftly, and that we must remain vigilant in the pursuit of truth. Thank you for joining us on this compelling journey, and we hope you'll continue to advocate for a fair and just legal system. Please like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.